Hi everyone, in this video, we'll learn how to take out the main board of a DOBOT if it has problems. So, first of all, you're going to take out your DOBOT and you want to turn it to the back side. And then, there are a few pads over here. So, you want to take off these pads. And yes, if you think they're not going to go back on again, you can always use some glue to put them back on. Then, you are going to unscrew the outer 4 screws. So that's the tool. And then you want to unscrew it. I'll unscrew all 4. And do not unscrew the inner 4, as these are linked up to the board inside. So that's one screw. That's the second screw. And then the third screw. The third screw, and then finally the 4th screw. Alright, the DOBOT Magician is very hard to open. Like, even if you unscrew it, the bottom will not fall off. And when you put it down. So you're going to take a tool such as a snap knife, and you are going to put it into the side opposite of the interface. It can't be any old side, it has to be opposite the interface. So this side. And then you'll use a snap knife to wedge it open. There we go. And do not worry about damages. If there's any damage, you can always just contact DOBOT and they'll fix it for you. Alright, so this is the old main board, which apparently has problems. So in the next video, we'll learn how to install the main board and also put it back in. So see ya then. Alright, so now once you've opened up the board, we can start installing the new board. So first of all, we want to remove the old board. We can do this by unscrewing the inner screws, which were mentioned before, which are attached to the board to make sure that the board doesn't fall off. So let's do that. And also, when you're unscrewing this, I forgot to mention this in the previous video, you have to use the medium size. There are 3 sizes: the medium, the small, and the large. Right there. Alright. So we take the medium and we start unscrewing the screws. And on the top, there's a lug nut and also there's 2 lug nuts to hold the board in place with the screw. And then, so we've got one out, and then time to move on to the second one. Oh, okay, so let's move on to the second one. And just so as a reminder, it's always good to keep small pieces in a small container. So that's what I'm doing right now. So the second screw is about done. And then we want the third screw, which is at the bottom. And then finally the fourth screw after this one, which is over here. Alright, so we're done with that. And now it's time to take off all the cables. So let's take them all off. And also, as a reminder, you should take a picture of this cable right here. This cable is different from the others because the others all have designated sizes and places. But ones like these, they're the same size, but they're labeled. This one's not labeled. All 4 or 5 of these are the same size. Just remember that this cable has to go into the second from the right. And yes, these cables are securely sealed, so they're kind of hard to take off. Alright, so we take out the old board, and then we bring in the new board. So let's find the problem. And we see it's right here. There's a black spot, which means it got burned. So if we turn to the back, see there's a black spot there too, which means one of these chips burned out. You can also see as it is a mark on the bottom. So let's install the new board now. So we take in the new board, which has no problems at all. And then we have to align it correctly because these blue things are for absorbing heat when these chips heat up. So we have to make sure that the chips go onto the tape. So let's put the board on there. And then we have to align those. Otherwise, these chips will overheat and burn out easily. Instead of that one burning out a little bit longer. Alright, it's time to put them back on. Put the board on. So we want to secure it first by taking out the screws and the lug nuts. And again, we turn the board over. And we have to screw it right there. Make sure that it lines up. Make sure that our board, there we go. So we've lined up that one. And we'll start with that one. Again, use a medium screwdriver. We put on the lug nut on the other side. So that's the first one. We want to put it on the lug nut. You start screwing it on with the hand, and then you want to secure it with the screwdriver. Okay, so you hold that in place, and then you screw it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So we have our screw, then we'll take our lug nut and screw it in. Alright, so that one looks like it's a little bit uneven, so we'll unscrew it a little. Because of the tape under. Alright, so it's time to unscrew it on. You don't want to tighten all of them at once because then the tape here will be unbalanced and the board will not show up in the ports over here on the DOBOT plastic. So you just want to put in the screws first and then tighten them later. So let's do that right now. Alright, so once you've got all the screws in, you can tighten them with the nuts, and then we'll move on to plugging in the cables. Alright, so finishing up that last one, and now it's time to plug in the cables. Now notice that all the cables over there attached to the plastic are in a specific shape. And some of them are the same shape, but they're labeled. So there's one cable that you have to be very careful about, because if you plug it incorrectly, then you will probably burn something out, just like what happened to the old board when you're diagnosing the problem, and then you're gonna have to go through the process all over again. So let's start doing the cables. So the big ones go to the big connectors, and the sizes kind of match up if you look at the cables. But for the ones that have labels, those are all the same size, and there are also labels on the board. Alright, so we're finishing up the cables that are easy to do. And one of the last cables, which is that one. Well, not that one, but yeah, so that's one of the easier ones. And the last one is the kind of one that you have to know which port is attached to. Okay, so this one, yeah, there's 4 different ports right there. It goes into the second one to the left. So you want to keep track of that. So it goes to that one. And once you plug that in, you can put the board back onto the DOBOT. Alright, so we're finishing up those cables. And now it's done. So the last step is to put the DOBOT board back into the DOBOT. Now this is a relatively, well, medium process. So for this one, you're going to be needing a hammer because sometimes that board will stay in and it will be uneven, just like it is over there. So we have to hammer it in. Don't worry, this won't cause too much damage, but it will cause a little. Alright, so that's done. We don't need the hammer anymore. Now use a medium screw to screw back in the last 4 screws. If you want to. Well, anyway, now is a finished DOBOT. So, again, the bottom, it's very rigid, so it can't stay in without the screws, but it's highly recommended to put in the screws, because it may fall out after a long time. And you see, all the ports are lined up. That's good. And also, you can't see any traces that you changed the board. All right. So before you put on the tightening knots for the pad and the pads, we want to test it out to make sure that the main board works. So we will plug in the USB and power. And then turn it on. Alright, so that so far seems to be working. Now, the USB is connected to a computer. So we're going to connect it over there. After installation, we have to restart the DOBOT. So we'll do that right now. And then turn it on. Alright, so it's on. So let's check the computer. And again, we're going to connect. And it works. So we are going to go to the home. If we go down, it's going to go to the home. We see it moves, which is awesome. So it's loading, and we can do anything with it. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments below. Goodbye.